Alright, hey guys, welcome back to Internet Tomato, where we dive deep into the dark, twisted, and epic lore of Tainted Grail. I shall be your guide to unraveling the mysteries of Avalon, and today, we are continuing our lore series by doing an interlude. I'm going to be going over the mistakes I've made in the lore series, which there's almost a dozen. I've addressed a couple of them in the series during the episodes. Something I do want to say is this is going to be unscripted. It felt weird to script the mistakes, but I did make all the notes to make sure that I wasn't going to miss one. Also at the end, there's going to be a bonus mistake that Tainted Grail did, that Awakened Realms did, which there likely are several, but I'm just going to stick to the one that I'm, pretty positive they just messed that one up. In a few months, I'm going to be finishing the series, so I do want you guys to comment on anything that you've noticed that I've either made a miss or mistake about. This also is about the misses I've made of stuff I probably should have talked about, but I never did. Also, for those of you who are just used to the lore series, right, I'm probably going to be talking slightly different because this is just how I am with playthroughs and live streams, whatever. I also cough a lot, just so you guys are aware, because you guys probably don't know that. But anyways, I did want to go over the poll that I did in the Discord, which I asked, do you think that the expedition will get out of Tuathan alive? It looks like you guys think that they probably will, that they will get out alive. I'm not going to sway your guys' opinions one way or the other, but, the return journey isn't going to be exactly as they probably hope. I'll just leave it at that. So, I'm going to be getting into this. So the first mistake they want to go over is that near the beginning of the series, and by the way, this might be boring for you guys, but I do just want to clarify because I make mistakes. I know I make mistakes. I'm going to continue to make mistakes, but I'm at least going to try to address them when I know I can. So the first one I want to go over is that at one point I mentioned that I believed that Arthur and Merlin created what was known as Anchorage, which was the mangrove tree with the giant bubble that kind of protected the first fleet when they...
I wasn't expecting company.
What? When they landed on Avalon? And at Anchorage, I had said that I believe that Merlin had built this bubble in order to essentially give Arthur a good getaway option if the time came, like if they were being destroyed by the Four Dwellers during the Age of Legends. Orin confirmed, and I didn't realize this until later, that the truth was that they wanted to trap humanity on Avalon, and that was why they created the barrier, so that there was no going back. They had to fight to the death to stay on Avalon. That was the intention. The other thing, which I did mention this before, and I kind of theorized near the beginning of the series, was that Kai and Morgaine are different people. For a time I wasn't sure. There were some people that thought that they were the same person, me being one of them, but they are not the same person. That was confirmed for sure. Kai and Morgaine are two different people. It's still a little bit uncertain exactly where they are in the family tree. All I really know is that Morgaine and Arthur share a mother, but that's pretty much it. Kai may be Arthur's full sister, which would be kind of interesting. But if that's true, again, she must have renounced her name and taken away, she didn't want to be named a Pendragon anymore. The other one that I said was questionable a few times, but Yvain is in fact a knight.
Always a pleasure to see you.
The problem is that I'm not entirely sure if Yvain the knight is the same one as Lord Yvain. That is a little bit questionable. I think that it is a little bit up to debate. But the thing is since he did go on the Grail quest, and right, that's kind of like one of the main parts of the Fall of Avalon RPG, my assumption is he is technically one of the greater Knights of the Round Table, and that's why he was able to essentially force Camelot to not take the men here by going after the Grail quest. So I think that more than likely he is one of the greater Knights. I think that it's possible he isn't, but I don't know who the alternate would be. I forget which one I was in between, but I believe that it was was it Percival? I think it was Percival was the other one that was never explicitly a greater Knight of the Round Table. But Percival is such like a legendary figure, it's hard to tell, because would Tainted Grail make Percival or Yvain one of the Knights of the Round Table? I'd expect it to be Percival, but they don't say that. So there's currently only 11 that they mentioned, but we're told that there's a total of 12. So the last one is a little bit of a mystery. The other thing that I do want to mention is that though some took an interest in setting up, so right after the Age of Legends, Connacht was kind of set up, but it wasn't officially founded until after the Executors defended Tainted Grail. I mixed that up. I got that mistaken. Yeah, so though there was an interest, they didn't technically set it up until after. But this also proves even more so significantly that Merlin's tree over there cannot possibly be Merlin's tree, because he was long gone before that was set up. Like, at least if it was during the travel, you might be able to make an argument. Okay, well, maybe he barely made it to this point, kind of a thing. But no, it would have been impossible. The other thing they do want to mention is when I was going over Arthur's lineage back in the day, I said I didn't know who his mother was. I didn't, but I forgot that there is one instance where we are given her name. She is Lady Igraine. So I was correct in that guess that they kept that name. So it was Lady Igraine. We don't really know too much about her, just that she was really happy when Arthur was born. That was pretty much the one line that we have about her. The other thing, and this is kind of a big one that I missed because I didn't go through one of the board games as thoroughly as I ought to have, is that the Everdweller is a guardian of Avalon because he's monitoring a fallen god. That's essentially what he's doing, or why he was sent to Avalon. There's a god somewhere in Tuathan that kind of fell, and because he fell, yeah, the Four Dwellers are kind of tasked with making sure that he's kind of imprisoned, and the Everdweller was sent to ensure that the Four Dwellers keep that fallen god imprisoned. That's essentially what's happening there. The other thing I do want to say is also in the first few episodes, I should have, this is a miss, this isn't really a mistake, I really should have fleshed out the Fomorians more, because they do exist. They are actually even on Avalon, but they're on the western half, and you never see that in the game, you'll never see that in the board games, but they do exist in Western Avalon, so I should have gone over that a little bit more. And also when I was talking about the gods, there are more of them in Western Avalon, but I didn't really go over it much. I just vaguely talked about it. I should have talked about it much, or a lot more. The other thing that I should have done is gone over the Kings of Ruin board game in general. I really have just glossed over it, but there is a lot of lore in that. But it's something that's a lot harder to go through than the normal lore of Tainted Grail. Eventually, once this lore series is over, I am going to go back and I'm going to go over Kings of Ruin. It's going to be a whole other lore series. It's going to be a lot shorter, probably like 15 episodes if I had to guess. But it's going to go over the history of Avalon from the Kings of Ruin perspective, because it's all set in Western Avalon. And also it's something that the timelines don't relate to this one, like in terms of what you see before you with Connacht and Camelot. So that's why it's a little bit hard to relate the two and know what happened when. The other thing they did want to mention is that we are told flatly in the board game that Arthur's last resurrection was 100 years before the fall of Avalon, before the fall of Avalon board game. Since this game is set just a few years before the board game, that means definitively that Arthur could not have been resurrected. Now, I was assuming this, but actually this was flatly stated in the lore. It was 100 years ago. And that also means, more than likely, that it was about 100 years ago that Orin disappeared. I kind of made it sound like it was probably closer to 200 years, but it was actually just 100 years ago that happened. And that also does mean that one of two things must be canonical. That either the vessel was slain, and that's why there was no resurrection, because that was kind of insinuated by Caradoc as being a possibility, or it was that the vessel, which is the main character, decided to join Caradoc's side and destroy Arthur once and for all. Those are pretty much the only two canonical possibilities, which, again, I don't really like that much, but yeah. The other thing they did want to mention, which I missed, is that Merlin was the one that had the plan that the Round Table would call upon Merlin or his apprentices to make them resurrect Arthur. I had said that more than likely this had happened after the first resurrection attempt because it was so terrible. So that was kind of my assumption, and then they set it up, but actually Merlin did it before he even died, and also before Arthur was ever resurrected, meaning that Merlin probably had the ritual in place during the Age of Legends. He died before he could perfect it, kind of a thing. But I will say this also does add to my theory that Merlin is either a fae or some kind of demonic figure, because that is a theme with supernatural creatures sometimes, that there are pacts that they must adhere to, and Merlin gave a pact which compelled and forced Orin to resurrect Arthur. He had no choice, right? So I do think that that is interesting, that more than likely they are of fae ancestry or demonic ancestry. I think that that is true. The last mistake I want to mention or miss is that the secret ending in Fall of Avalon, I didn't mention it at all in the series, and the reason I didn't mention it at all is because there was a 0% chance it was true. It just couldn't have happened because the Red Death did persist. For those of you who don't know, the secret ending in the Fall of Avalon essentially shows that Arthur is fully restored, the Red Death is completely gone, and everything is happy and everything's perfect. That isn't at all what happens, because Arthur, again, he doesn't get resurrected, so that's not possible. The Red Death persists, so that isn't possible. So it's something where it was like, it was so impossible I didn't even mention it, but I should have mentioned that being an option, that, and explained why it couldn't have happened, because I know to some they view that as the true ending, because that's what people are calling it, but it isn't. It's more like a secret ending, but it's, it can't be canonical. The bonus mistake, sorry for talking so much, I love you guys. The bonus mistake I want to mention is that, which is Awakened Realms mistake, is that Arthur had mentioned in a vision, by the way, there are several of these that are like super questionable and I've kind of been able to reason out, but this one I cannot reason out, is that Arthur did mention in one of the memories back when he grabbed the crown, he tells Caradoc about Timberwall and that essentially the Dalriada will not be accepted there. But the problem is that Timberwall didn't exist, especially during that time. It couldn't have existed. Best case scenario, because I did go back to see this, is that maybe settlers did go there, but at the time it was just called the Nook. The only way I can really, try to make this reasonable or possible is, okay, well, maybe there were merchants in Camland, in the homelands, that were from a place called Timberwall. I mean, perhaps, but the reason Timberwall is called that is it's because of they have a timber wall. So I don't know about that one, but I'm pretty sure that they just made a mistake with that one. He should have just said the nobles and the merchants in Camelot, because that was really who wouldn't be able to accept the Dalriada. But yeah, sorry for this long form mistakes video. I did want to go over it. I felt like this would be a good time to do Interlude, and also the fact that I'm going to be super busy with Thanksgiving coming up. I needed to have a video where I wasn't completely scripted because I just do not have the time. And also a lot of things are changing in my own life, in terms of jobs, in terms of relationships, in a good way, by the way. So there is a missed tomato. But anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I am going to be heading out. You guys are all so awesome. Next week, I'm going to be doing a supercut for all those that are kind of like either falling behind or they kind of want to have a refresher of the lore. I felt like this is a pretty good time for that as well. So it's going to be this highly edited supercut. Hey, buddy. That I'm going to be doing so that you guys can have this long form. I don't know how long it'll be, probably close to 6 hours or something. I really don't know. I haven't checked. Of most, if not all, of the lore videos up until this point. I'm going to be doing Tainted Tales. I'm going to be continuing to do the Song of a Dying World series. And yeah, I'm going to be heading out, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Please consider subscribing if you have yet to do so. And yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.